And the 7 benefits in the practice of this meditation, which the Buddha says, for the purifications of beings, meaning that we suffer because we have a lot of defilements in our mind, greed, hatred, delusion, anger, jealousy. And once we develop the mindfulness, once we recognize them, and once we are able to let them go without holding on to these defilements, then we have peace and comfortable mind. So that is one of the benefits for overcoming sorrow and lamentation. Sorrow and lamentation, there's so much suffering in a human life. For the eradication of pain and grief, the body pain, once you meditate, learn to meditate, and if your mind is wholesome, you find that your body becomes more healthy. If you're more peaceful, you're more happy, then our body, the immune system becomes more strong to fight against all those bacteria that invade our body. So it is a case where they found that a lot of cancer patients, it is only when they are in deep sorrow, they are in deep suffering, that the body immune system becomes weak and they develop cancer in the body. This is one of the research from America, Western country, where they do a research on the cancer patient, and they found that these patients, when they are in deep grief, loss of loved ones, or lost their property, or they become something happened to them, and when they have this grief, then they develop the cancer. Now, for gaining of the right path, now this is the right path. When Buddha talked about the right path, the direction of our life, a lot of time we ask ourselves, what are we here for? What is life? Why are we born here for? The direction of our life, we just do this, do that, do right things, do wrong things, and we suffer in the process when we do a lot of wrong things that we should not do. And the Buddha says that once we practice this meditation, then it is for the right path. The right path between two extremes. Now, the extreme of what most of us do in life, we sort of constantly pursuing or chasing after the sense pleasure or the pleasures of the senses, where we always like to see beautiful things, we go shopping, we always search for nice food, we buy a lot of CDs to enjoy music, perfume for smell, body, we have aircon in the house, nice bed to sleep on, and it goes round and round. And our whole life, we just rotate with all these senses. When we eat until we can't eat anymore, then we say, okay, I go and lie down, I go and have a sleep. And after that, you feel bored, and you say, okay, I'll go to see my friends. Now, life, human life, we find such type of happiness, and if we can get all those things for our senses, then indeed our life is quite pleasant. You might say we have a happy life. You are born in a rich family and you don't have to work so hard. You don't have to see the boss face that you don't like to see. And if you can have a lot of things that you want in life, you have a pleasant house, a nice car, then you find that life is happy indeed. So that's how we live our life, mostly to earn a lot of money and to get all those things for our sense enjoyment. But this is not the true way to happiness, which the Buddha says. It is not the right way. It's not the right path. Because in pursuing all those craving for our senses, a lot of things in life that we cannot have. There are a lot of things that we want and yet we cannot achieve. And so we become very depressed, annoyed, become sad, unhappy, if we can't get the things we want. And on the other hand, a lot of things that we do not want, like we do not like to see our enemies, somebody we don't like. What happens if we constantly see them? Now, in the office, for example, your colleague that you don't like, whom you think is probably poisoning the boss against you. And a lot of things that you don't like to see. And perhaps you don't like to eat, smell, taste, or touch. But there, it happened to us. And so, again, the mind becomes displeasure. Mind becomes a lot of sadness and ill will. So by constantly going after these things, it causes a lot of conflict, stress, and tension to the mind. Then the Buddha says that it's not the true way, the true path to happiness. That is one extreme. The other extreme, of course, is inflicting pain upon ourselves so that we could escape suffering, do a lot of things that causes pain to our body or mind, that we may escape from suffering. Now, it do happens in Western place and now in Singapore as well, that even children, when they become very sad, they take a knife and they cut their body. So in that way, they feel that they redeem themselves, they become pure, they become, they sort of destroy their sin by suffer for it. Then they say, okay, I'm not guilty now. I suffer for the bad things that I've done. Now I paid for it. I'm okay now. So they harm themselves. They cut their body, and after that they put plaster and go to school. That is another extreme. And there are many ways people are doing various types of things to escape and get happiness, and yet it is not the true way. But I say, the way of Satipatthana, the way of developing your mindfulness, that is the true way. That is another benefit when you meditate. And finally, the benefits of realization, what we call in the Buddhist term, Dhamma. But that is, of course, a very big word when they talk about Dhamma, something that is very abstract. But it depends on individual. As long as we progress in life, as long as we become more happy, become more peaceful, become more aware of what is happening in our mind and body, what is happening externally, as long as we improve, develop wisdom, that is good enough, that we are on the right path, and the happiness that we get becomes more deeper and more profound along the way. And finally, of course, is Dhamma, which is, the Buddha says, that is the true happiness, the happiness that is beyond all happiness, which is the eliminations of greed, hatred, delusion, which causes suffering. Now, once we develop mindfulness, we could get rid of all those unwholesome mind that cause suffering. And the supreme bliss, or the happiness that is beyond all other happiness, the unsurpassable, that is Dhamma, which of course is our objective, final destination in the practice of wisdom, where we can overcome all mental and physical pain. It arises because of defilements. Now, as we develop awareness and we start to develop detachment of mind towards object, then these objects, that is unpleasant objects, cannot catch hold of our mind. And once they cannot catch hold of our mind, then we releases our suffering, because it cannot disturb us. Once we have the jealousy or anger or frustration or sadness that arise in our mind, we're able to note it, able to observe it because of the mindfulness. And when it arises, there is this detachment that arises with the observation. Then we know, okay, this is anger. Oh, yeah, this is angry mind. And I feel a lot of vibration in my body because of angry mind. Now, as you watch it, the anger subsides because what? Because you do not produce more fuel for anger to arise. The more you think of unwholesome thing, the more angry you become. So it subsides because you are not putting in more anger. You are watching it distant, away from it as an object, and then it ceases. Now, as we keep on being aware, bring up wholesome state of mind and let go unwholesome state of mind. Therefore, we gain more peace, more calmness and contentment and happiness as well.